Good morning and welcome to the Core Connection. I'm Mira Rubin here with you on Enlightened World Network. And today's topic is all the same stuff. And what we're going to talk about is what if at the heart of everything, it's all the same stuff, like the stuff that makes matter, the stuff that makes energy, the stuff that makes our bodies, the stuff that makes everything. What if it's all fundamentally the same and what we're seeing is the difference? Good morning, Rosalind. Welcome. It's so great to have you here starting off the week together. Great, welcome. So it's kind of a cool concept and kind of I think it might be indisputably true. I don't know that it's all the same stuff. But it should be a fun conversation looking at macrocosm and microcosm and separation or difference and sameness. So before we get started, let's take a couple minutes to get present. Let's take a deep breath in through your nose and hold it. And imagine clean, crisp oxygen flooding your lungs, flowing into your bloodstream, nourishing all your cells, all your organs, and bringing vital life energy to your body and being. And as you exhale any tension, stress, negativity, fatigue. And now let's take another deep breath in through your nose and hold it. This time, imagine brilliant, bright light to lighting you up from the inside out, illuminating, electrifying, and energizing all your cells, your molecules, your electrons, creating a brilliant beam of light and energy from your heart out into the world. And as you exhale any remaining tension, stress, negativity, fatigue. And now let's press our palms together. Vigorously rub your hands together to feel the friction, the temperature, the pressure, the motion, and allow all those sensations, including the tickling and tingling when you stop, to bring you present right here, right now, into this remarkable physical form that enables us to experience life. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So how fun is this? To be thinking it's all the same stuff. When we look around, we see distinct objects. We see different things. When we look at science, we recognize different compounds. When we look at the body, we recognize different organs. And yet, when we look at science has been able to dissect all these things that are so very different, and reduce them down to particles and reduce the particles down to atoms, protons, electrons, and smaller and smaller and smaller particles. And what if at the heart of it, it's all the same stuff? Like the fundamental particles are what are at the foundation of everything. And what is different is maybe the clusters of these things and the configuration of those clusters. But fundamentally, the thing that's at the root of it is the thing that's at the root of all of it. And if we think about that, it opens up a whole new world, right? If it's all essentially, we've said for a long time, and it's not like we discovered this notion, but that it's all energy. It's all energy. And that energy is condensed. What if it's a matter of taking like energy and condensing it or collecting elements of it and condensing it to different intensities, different degrees to create these different configurations? And what if it's really all the same stuff? And if it is really all the same stuff, then we can interact with that stuff. What if we were able to interact with that stuff on a fundamental level? What if we were able to affect that stuff on a fundamental level? So I just started reading a new book that was recommended to me by a client. And I'm very excited about it because the woo-woo folks, and I'm including myself in that, not exclusively woo-woo, but I've got my woo, talk about Akashic records, right? Talk about this sort of repository of knowledge and information from all time, past, present, future, all time, right? The Akashic records. And this book is called Science in the Akashic Field, an integral theory of everything. And I'm just going to read from Deepak Chopra, who's one of my favorite, or one of the first people that provided me an introduction into this world of quantum healing and potentials and the pregnant void and all of these ways of conceiving the world. The quote that he has on the cover is the most brilliant, comprehensive, and intellectually satisfying integral theory of everything that I have ever read. Transcends the vision of Darwin, Newton, Einstein, the quantum pioneers, and many other scientific giants of history. And it's written by Ervin Laszlo. Again, it's called Science and the Akashic Field. And what it's doing is it's bridging this notion of information field. I haven't really gotten to the heart of it, but between that and a conversation that I had with an inventor friend named David Patrick, you might want to look up David Patrick, and I don't know how well developed the website is right now, but it's called Sera World, SERAWORLD, who is he's the guy that reinvented the wheel, that developed a new configuration for a wheel that's more effective than the wheel that we've known forever, and developed a company from that called Shark Wheel. You can look that up too. But what we were talking about is how it's all the same stuff with different dimensions of compression and configuration. And what if that stuff, what if the essence of that stuff is information? What if the essence of that stuff is consciousness? What if consciousness, and this is a stretch, it's not, at least at the moment, it's not representative of my understanding of either of these people's theory, although Laszlo is talking about information being at the heart of everything. What if consciousness is the energy of creation of the universe? What if all matter emerges from consciousness, from information? Because one of the we can extrapolate from this potentially, just this is all This is all exercise, right? Thinking exercise, conceptualization exercise. But if the universe is consciousness, and we are here seeking purpose, right? One of the things that has made sense to me over time is that what we're here for, we're an expression of life, right? We are our unique little packet of whatever characteristics we have or represent, and we are an expression of life, a unique expression of life. And in that expression of life, we are having experience. And in having that experience, what is it doing? It's contributing to the field. It's contributing to the information of the field. So each of us in our lives, having our own unique experience, is expanding the field, is contributing all of that knowledge, all of that experience, all of that conceptualization, all of that is getting contributed to the field that's expanding this consciousness, that's enriching the overall intelligence. Good morning, Sue. Welcome. So wonderful to have you here with us this morning. What a treat. Rosalind says, mind and matter. So the mind creates packets that go to different receptor sites for the body and the field. What if our consciousness creates this energetic impulse that then materializes into matter somehow, or congeals into matter somehow? The book Science in the Akashic Field that I was just showing you starts out talking about Schrodinger, and how when we are trying to observe something, it's also called the observer effect. And you may have heard of Schrodinger's cat. Like there's a box, there's a cat in it, and until you open the box, you don't know if that cat is alive or dead, right? So when we find a particle and we want to measure it, as soon as we can either measure its velocity or we can measure its position, but we can't do both. When we measure its position, it becomes a particle. When we're measuring its, I guess, its velocity, and this might not be entirely accurate, then it sort of acts as a wave. So it is by our observation that we are changing the nature, like that thing is precipitating out of the multitude of possibilities into a fixed possibility. And then he's talking about this thing that I think that Einstein referred to as spooky action at a distance, where you have two particles or two elements, two whatever these things are, that have been entangled energetically somehow, and a change to one instantly registers as a change in the other. So, and it's interesting because the change in the other is complementary. So for instance, if one goes up, the other goes down, and you change one and the other changes. Sue, thank you for all these goodies you're putting into the chat. So Sue is put, please stay in touch with the Enlightened World Network newsletter, and a link to do that. My website, which I so deeply appreciate, which is yourcoreconnection.com. And if you all look in the description, you'll see a way to follow the YouTube channel for Enlightened World Network, as well as my YouTube channel. And we really appreciate you doing that, because the greater the following on the YouTube channels, the more possibility there is to, it's like the more there is, the more there is. So the more YouTube will promote those channels, and there are then potential revenue opportunities with links to advertisements and all kinds of stuff like that. So please follow and like the YouTube channel for Enlightened World Network and for me. Again, those links are in the description. So anyway, back to physics. It's kind of amazing the way that physics and metaphysics are coming closer and closer together. And so many of these things that the metaphysicians have known for eons are now starting to get validated by science, which I find just utterly fascinating and heartening in a way, and also like, yeah, what's taken you so long kind of thing. But anyway, what so far in the book, what Laszlo is talking about is that there is no separation of time or space between these entangled particles, which is crazy. And we already know that because we know about intuition. We know about extrasensory perception. We call it extrasensory, but what if it's just that it's tapping senses that we don't currently recognize, right? That we can not have been in touch with somebody for forever, and all of a sudden we think of them and they call on the phone. Or there can be a loved one and we wake in the middle of the night and see them or hear them, and we know that they've passed. And there's no time that has elapsed, and there could be infinite distance. And so what we're talking about here is that information or consciousness is not bound by time or space, that there's an instantaneous communication or knowing communication within this realm of consciousness and information that is faster than the speed of light, that isn't bound by distance, that's instantaneous. And what that points to is that there's an interconnectedness, a oneness, a sameness that is becoming actually validated. And I'm sure I am oversimplifying this in so many ways, but is becoming validated by science. It's becoming recognized at least. I mean, Einstein died in 1955, and he was talking about spooky action at a distance way back then. And the Kabbalah has, talks about it, and it's eons old, right? So the mystics of our various traditions have known about this feature, these features of the universe, these essences of the way the universe works. And science is maybe just starting to catch up with that, which is pretty interesting. Where up until very recently, well, there have always been some scientists who were mystics, but in so many ways, the notion of science and metaphysics has been a polarizing and polarized subject, or camps, kind of in opposition to one another, when it, really what Laszlo starts the book with is that what a real science is going to do is to reconcile the anomalies that current science can't explain or can't describe. So I love it when we talk about we are energy, and maybe that energy is the energy of consciousness, whatever that is. Like maybe there's not a a physicalness to it. Maybe it somehow transcends the physical, and thereby transcends the laws of the physical or the constraints of the physical. Information. And I translate that as consciousness, because I think that there's an animation to that information, that it's not just stuff, but that it's not a thing as much as it is a process. That consciousness is a process that's animated, that animates the universe. And when we see this parody, this entanglement, that's a function of that dynamic, that there is this dynamic process of consciousness, and that it's emergent and expanding. And so if we are our own little collective of consciousness, each of us is consciousness of whatever it is that has materialized into matter, physical matter, that's part of us and expands beyond us, that we connect with, that we interact with, that we are inseparable from, that the experiences of this particular coalescence of consciousness then feeds the collective, feeds the broader consciousness. And that in itself perhaps is the purpose of our lives, is to feed that collective, that greater consciousness, to expand it, to be participating in that dynamic, to be feeding it and engaging with it as part of that process, to be in this constant evolution, this constant becoming. So there's a place of knowingness that's beyond knowing anything, where it just is all of it. And years and years ago, in trying to understand the nature of the universe, what resonated for me is that what the world is God knowing itself. So we could say that what the world is consciousness knowing itself. And Rosalind says, when you're looking for it, you see it. If you're not looking for it, it stays hidden. So is the practice to tap into, find relationship to what is hidden? Well, I guess, I love that question. And what is knowledge? Knowledge is finding what's hidden, right? It's hidden until we can recognize it, until it comes into our awareness. It's hidden. We don't know it's hidden because we're not aware of it. And then when we become aware of it, that's new knowledge, right? Sometimes we get to learn things or be exposed to things that we didn't even know to look for. And so it shows up without looking for it. And then rocks our world, because it opens up new pathways to new awareness that was previously inconceivable. But I love this notion of, in essence, what we are is consciousness. And as we can approach more and more directly that essence, as we can presence ourselves more and more directly to that essence of consciousness, we transcend the physical, we transcend time, we transcend space, and we come to this place of pure presence. And it's not still, It's dynamic and alive and emergent, and it is the essence of the universe. So we get to see that. I think I'm excited to read the rest of this book to see if there's any alignment with my sense of it. You know, like, I'm not a scientist, and most of us who are on a path of awakening probably aren't scientists either, but we have a deep sense of how it all fits together and how the universe works. And when we can play our part in consciousness and know that that in itself is enough of a contribution, we can then start bringing that into our lives, and maybe have a richer experience of the process of living. So anyway, that's it for today. I love nerding out on this stuff. This is like my favorite stuff to chew on. So I hope that you're enjoying it too. And I want to say thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm Mira Rubin. This is the Core Connection, and I go live here each weekday morning on the Enlightened World Network Facebook page and YouTube channel and my Facebook page. And again, I invite you please to like and follow Enlightened World Network and me on YouTube. The links are in the description. And Dido, so wonderful to have you here with us this morning. Wow, it's a party. Anyway, it's such a privilege and such a pleasure to be able to have the opportunity to engage in these kinds of crazy conversations. And I am so appreciative. So until next time, so much love to you.